This is a one-speaker meeting. Please welcome our speaker tonight, who is Art.
Good evening. My name is Art, and I am an alcoholic. And first of all, I want to thank Sean for asking me to come on out to do this. It's not my. I have to tell you, it's not my favorite thing to do. It's actually my least favorite thing to do in AA. I'd rather be sweeping up, after the meeting than doing this. But when you're asked, or when I'm asked to do anything in AA, I do it, and that's what it is. So thank you, Sean. He's an old friend, dear friend of mine, and it's nice to come into this meeting and see so many people that I haven't seen in a while, And it just lets me know that this thing continues to work in these rooms. I recently celebrated 20 years of sobriety, and that to me is mind-blowing, especially when you get sober when you're 21. So I didn't, it's nothing these days. I mean, you come into the rooms these days and you see kids, 5 years old taking cakes for 10, for 20 years. It's like, how does that work? But when I came in, it was just I was busted, and I didn't know what the hell I was. I didn't know which way was up or down, really. And anyways, I want to thank all the chip people, all the birthday people, and welcome all the newcomers, and let you know that this is the single AA is the single largest, biggest, significant event that has happened in my life, bar none. Without AA, I've got nothing. Okay. So if you don't hear anything else, that's probably the most important thing. First of all, I'm hot, so I'm going to take this off. That's all right. Is that all right, Neil? Can you hold that for me? So anyways, this is actually refreshing, to come to a meeting at 8 o'clock. I go to this Wednesday night meeting where, you got to show up at like 12 noon to get a seat, and you stay there till 10 o'clock. It's just like, by the time you get out of there, it's like you need to go to bed or go to another meeting or something. It's crazy. So this is actually really nice. It's funny speaking here. I grew up 2 streets down over here on Moore Street. So this area I know very well. I know all these backyards. I know them all, because I was cruising them, And so it's nice to come back here and kind of, I don't know, I get that warm feeling. But anyways, as most of you probably can tell, I'm Japanese, and the bummer thing about being Japanese is when you don't want to be and you are, it kind of sucks. So growing up, growing up, we actually moved over here to Moore Street, but I grew up over by the Mar Vista Gardens, better known as the Projects. Back then they used to call it the Projects. And I went to Braddock Elementary School, and I was a latchkey kid. My mom and dad worked their tail off to provide for our family. I mean, literally, my dad, he started off as a, I don't want to be stereotypical, but he was a landscaper, gardener. And then we since passed that on to, never mind. And then he bought a liquor store, And I mean, he worked from 10 in the morning to like 10 at night every day. So I never saw the guy. Never saw the guy. I saw him on Saturdays. He would come pick me up from, and this is kind of embarrassing, but he would come pick me up at J School. J School is Japanese school, on Saturdays, and he would take us to lunch. But that's really all I saw of him. And my mom was left to raise 3 boys. I'm the middle boy of 3 boys. And, when I first came to these programs, I used to listen to these speakers, and I think, I could get up there and do that. That's easy. I just get up there and say, I'm an alcoholic. I'm Japanese. I'm the middle kid of 3 boys, and my name is Arthur. and just like everybody was just like, oh, and I just walked out. You'd all understand why I drank, and there's. So, anyways, growing up, it was just this whole thing of feeling different, not feeling a part of, and my mom used to make a sack lunch for me, in a number 6 brown bag every morning, and it was a number 6 brown bag, and the way she got these bags is across the street from where we lived was Alpha Beta at the time. There was a TGNY and Alpha Beta, and my mom used to go there, and while she'd go grocery shopping, she would ask the checkout person if she can buy 10 bags, and I would be like, Mom, buy 10. They're right there. You could just take. She says, no, you have to buy them. So at a very early age, she was showing me, I guess, principles. Not that I held on to any of them, but I just, She did a darn. She's not around anymore, and I miss her dearly. But she had a handful. She had a handful, man. Anyways, before I get too wrapped up into this, I always like to, one thing that I love about AA. If you're new, I want to tell you, I love Alcoholics Anonymous. Man, I really do. I love AA. I really, I love coming to meetings. I love my meetings. I love the people here. You are my people. And there's that literature of language of the heart. This is the only place that I know where I can come and I can share my innermost feelings, and you guys understand. And the most significant part of that is I know that you understand. I can talk to my wife. My wife's a normie. And I could try to explain things, and she'll say, yeah, I know, but I don't know. Deep down, it's like, no, you really don't know. But I could call my sponsor and know that he understands. So anyways, I always kind of like to start with a stupid little story. And just to give you a flavor of what you're in for 30 minutes. So I golf. This one particular day, I didn't have a very good round, and just throwing my clubs in my trunk and not feeling very good about myself. And I'm getting into my car, and there's this little piece of paper on my windshield. And you think nothing of it. These days, they put crap all over your windshields, in the rear and the sides, stickers sometimes, And I thought, I'm a capitalist, so I appreciate that kind of stuff. Marketing, that's fine. So I thought nothing of it. I thought, it would just blow off as I drive. So I'm driving. I get in my car and I'm driving. I'm heading down the street, and damn thing's not coming off. 1 block. So I step on it a little more. I'm going a little faster. Still, it's still on there. So at this point, I'm like, God. So I pull over. And I get out and I pull it off. It's a Post-it. And on the back of it, it says, you have a flat tire. So the book says, we're contempt prior to investigation. There you go. So before you start judging me, no, I'm just kidding. But that's basically how my head thinks. I'm thinking, this thing is, I'm getting a resentment over this little thing that is actually going to help me, because I don't look at this. I look at this a lot of times. And when I do that, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. So anyways, I'm Japanese. I got a Japanese mom, a Japanese dad. That makes me Japanese, and I'm going through life, and I talk about this. I'm going through life. I'm in elementary school, but I've got all these feelings, and it's just I don't like them. I'm uncomfortable. What I'm doing is my mom used to give me this sack lunch, and I used to give it away to the bullies. Not really bullies, because they were my friends, really, but at least I thought they were. But these guys kind of like their families at the time. And maybe still now, but at the time there were certain families that ran the projects. So I wanted to make sure that I was in with them. And when it basically made me untouchable. So I was left to run around. I was a little kid, skinny little kid, but I had the biggest mouth, because I always knew that these guys they had my back always. And that's what I did. I continued to do that. And for a guy like that, or a guy like me, where you're feeling, when you've got all those inner feelings, and I'm feeling one way on the inside and acting another way on the outside, it's just a matter of time that I'm going to get drunk or something's going to happen. And it was almost like it was premeditated, man. I used to fantasize about the time that I was going to get loaded. And this is, I'm 9, 10 years old. So it finally happened about 11. I was almost 12, I think. A friend of mine, he was already a veteran, smoking dope, and we scored 7 grams of hash, 4 of us. And we sat in this little circle, and we just let it go, just kept going, and we finished 7 grams of hash in one sitting. And there's a guy in our group, he talks about doing glue, gasoline or glue in a bag, and you get the wah, wah, wah. I'm here to tell you, you smoke that much hash at one time, you get the wah, wah, wahs. And then another thing you get is that no depth perception thing, which is, So that was my introduction, and I swear, that night, I swore up and down to myself, and I remember it like if it was yesterday. I said to myself, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I love this. Whatever it is, I love it. And it was just a matter of time. I'm young, so it's not like I can, go to the liquor store and get booze. So I was, doing a lot of that, and it was a matter of time that I was going to figure out how to get booze and do that. What happened is my cousin, he's about 9 years older than I am, and he gave me his driver's license. So here I am, I'm like 4 foot something, 60 pounds. And I go to a liquor store and, kind of like, show. And, there's this place, it was called Duck Pond over on, I swear to God, they would sell it to anybody. Overland, that's it. I love that place, because I always, and the magic thing about having that card was everybody, none of my buddies were able to do it. So I had power, I had power. And so I drank for free, basically, because they would give them money. I would go score. And that's how we rolled. And it was, the disease for me, it just continued to progress. I'm going to say this real quick. I've been around this program just long enough to know a couple of things. When a speaker gets up and says, I'm not going to, we all know how to get drunk. I'm not going to give a drunk-a-log, sit back, you're ready for, 35-minute drunk-a-log, big drunk-a-log. The other one is at the end of a guy's talk, I'm pretty spot on about this one, but if a guy says, I'm going to say this and sit down, just know that you've got like 5 or 10 minutes, all right? So, I'm not judging, I'm just reporting. So, anyway, so I'm drinking, and I'm in, my grades are getting bad, and I'm in junior high school, and, I'm doing good because I'm Japanese and we're smart. So I'm doing okay up to a point, but, after a while, it gets to the point where it's like, when you're getting stoned and you're getting drunk at recess and all this stuff, and you're trying to go back to absorb and learn, it just doesn't happen. And the long and short of it is I barely got out of high school. I had the credits. The only reason why I had the credits is because my mom used to send us to summer school. Because she knew. She was a smart lady. She knew we better get this guy out of high school quick, get him some credits. And so that's what happened, you know. And you know, when you're in school, at least back then, you had to actually show up. Even though you had the credits, you had to show up to class. You know, attendance they call it, I guess, you know. And I had a hard time doing that. You know, I had my priorities. I don't want to say screwed up because I had my priorities, you know, which was, you know, I was going to go party. That was my priority. Anyways, my mom had to go talk to the vice principal to let me walk across the lawn, you know. And that's, I mean, you think about it, that's pretty pathetic, really. It's pretty pathetic, for me at least it was. And, you know, nothing got better from there. You know, I started smoking coke when I was like 15, and you know, and I was drinking beer up until then, and then I got introduced to hard liquor. And I swear, man, I love vodka. You know, I don't know what you guys like, but you know, there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, I liked everything." I love vodka. You know, I was watching TV the other night, and something came on the station. I think it was in New York. There was a bar. It was a vodka bar, and it was in a freezer. Oh, what a concept! That's brilliant. You know, I mean, you wear a fur coat and you get in there and you just. I mean, I thought I was just like, I was mesmerized. I couldn't believe it. So, anyways, you know, my drinking's getting bad. You know, I'm getting pulled over, but I'm not actually. I've never spent a night in jail, which is kind of miraculous because I've been pulled over so many times. I think they shed pity on me when they pulled me over. That kind of, you know, they look at me like, oh, okay, let's just go ahead. But yeah, I thank God for that. Actually, it's actually incredible. You know, I got pulled over right here. I had a half an ounce of blow down my pants. The guy took me out of the car, patted me down, didn't find it, and let me go. It's incredible. You know, you come here and you say, "Oh, there is a God." You know, it's like, come on. I just got lucky. You know, I just got lucky. But anyway, so the disease for me just continued to progress, and I like to say I was going nowhere fast. Nowhere fast. I started to work for UPS, and at the time, I'm sure they still do, payday was Thursday. Okay, so you would get your paycheck Thursday. There was a liquor store down the street that very conveniently cashed your check. So we would all go there, cash our check, get our bottles and little stuff that we were getting, and then we'd stay together for like a little while, and then everybody would just like disperse, you know. And I would go and I would get my girlfriend at the time, and we would go to, there was this place in Culver City called Howard Johnson's. And we would go there and we'd have our stuff, and I'd go to the receptionist and say, you know, can I have a room? Yeah, you know, this was the days before frequent buyer programs, you know. I swear to God, if I ever was a frequent buyer program, I think I would have stayed there free forever. But I mean, we went there every weekend, and I would go up to the reception, I would say, you know, can we get a room, please? And then I'd ask her, can we give the room on the highest floor, please? You know, because we all know during the middle of the night you got those night crawlers crawling up the side of the walls, you know. And that was, you know, during that time they like bolted shut all the windows so you couldn't open them up. So you get like this much, so you're like, anyways. So it got to be this routine, this hideous routine where we would open up the door. She would run in, she would go to the bathroom to get a little piece of toilet paper, come running back out, and fill it up into the eye hole. Because only alcoholics know that you can actually look into those things, you know. And then I would pull the plug out of the phone, you know, just in case someone was going to call us. And And then I'd get a towel, and I'd roll it up, and then I'd put it underneath the door sill. Because I'd watched enough TV to know that, they send those things underneath, and they look into the room. And then we would get the bed sheet, and we would throw it up against the window, and once in a while that a big light would come on every once in a while, and we'd realize that was the sun after a few days, and it'd be like, and we would pack ourselves in here, and we would drink all weekend, and do whatever else we had, and that was it. And I'd go back to work on Monday, and my buddies would ask me, how was your weekend and stuff, and I'd say, great. I had a great time. We would sit in opposite, corners of the room and do what we had to do. I mean, I had a great time. I was trying to convince everybody that I was okay. Fighting that what chapter 3 talks about. Just that whole hideous trying to control and enjoy my drinking. I swear, man, I did that for the longest time. And it's funny because I used to get sobriety, 3 or 4 or 5 days, and always after about the 5th or 6th day, I would always pat myself on the back and say, you're doing a good job. You don't have a problem. You can go 6 days. 6 days is fine. Go ahead. And then I'd start all over. And it just got to be this routine where what happened for me was, I got here when I was 21, so I didn't lose the house and this and that and that. What I lost was I lost my mind. Man, I swear to you, I thought I was going crazy. I literally thought I was going crazy. I was hearing things. I was no longer able to differentiate the true from the false, what was really going on. I would make stuff up just to cover other things, and these are all just these feelings that are coming up, and I'm like deflecting all my feelings. I mean, I'm trying to at least, and I would drink just to quiet my head down, and sometimes it worked magnificently. Other times it didn't work at all. It just made matters worse. And it got to the point where a lot of speakers talk about, being so predictable on the one hand and unpredictable on the other. Just never knew. I got to the point where I was, it was kind of like damned if I do, damned if I don't. When I didn't drink, I would go crazy. And the only thing that I knew, the only solution that I knew to shut my head off was to drink again. And then when I did drink, God knows what would happen. God knows. Only God knew. And at the time, my older brother he was in and out of this program for like 5 years. And I got a call one night from my mom saying, oh, you got to come home. He's done it again. He's over at a recovery place, and they want $16,000, And I'm like, we didn't grow up with much. And I said, and I'm like, God, I'm having a good time at Howard Johnson's. So I come home, and I'm like, Mom, what do you do? 16 grand? What do where are you gonna get 16 grand? We don't have that kind of money. So she leads me over to the kitchen. She opens up the freezer, and there's 16 grand. So now I don't know what that does for you, but I'm like, did this just, because had I known, we all know, had I. Oh man. So anyway, she went over there and gave him this money, and he got whatever, admitted, enrolled, whatever, and prior to him getting in there, he would come to the meetings, and he would get 30 days, and he would come back to me, and he'd shake this thing and say, come on, I found it. come back with me. We'll get sober together. It'll be great, And I'd look at him just with disgust and pity, because I knew he was going to go back out. I just knew it. And sure enough, he would, So when this day came where my mom, pulled out this cash and did this thing, I was just like, Mom, you're just blown. But, in our culture and other cultures, the oldest son, you do anything for. To me, she probably would have just threw me to the lions, but I'm just kidding. So anyways, something started to happen. His whole tone and everything started to change. And it no longer was it, hey, you know what, I found this, come on with me. It turned into, hey, you know what, Thursday night's family night, and you're welcome to come. I'd really like for you to come and support me. I mean, if you put it that way, then, I'll come and support you because I feel bad for you. So, little by little, something started to change in him, and I saw it. And basically, it was the program entering his life. God was entering his life. And, when you've been around here a while and you watch the newcomers stay here and get their lives in order and start to become, I don't want to say human, but, people of society like we do, the lights, it just comes on, man. And I didn't know it at the time because I didn't know, but I was looking at him and I knew something was happening. I just couldn't put my finger on it. So, he started to get sober, and then just one day, for me, it was just, like I said, I was getting sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I called him. And I said, hey, you know what, can I go to a meeting with you? My first meeting was the meeting in Santa Monica on 14th and Olympic. It was on a Sunday night, August the 23rd, 1987, and I've been sober ever since. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I don't question it. I don't question it. The first night of my meeting, there was a bomb scare in the room that we were supposed to have this meeting in. And I thought, and everybody's like, this was a big meeting at the time, really big meeting. And they wanted to have this meeting. It was very obvious that they were going to have this meeting. And I thought, bomb scare, well, that's kind of cool. This is my first meeting. I'm thinking drama, bomb scare, All right, let's go. I've went to my first meeting. Let's go. And he was like, no, we're going to have this thing. And people, they were plugging in the coffee outlets wherever they can find an outlet. And a bunch of people got the bleachers together and they moved them together. And I just sat back in awe. I was like, wow, these guys really want to have a meeting. It must really be important to these guys. So, that night, a gal got up to the podium, or not to the podium, she just got up and she said, my name is Mindy and I'm an alcoholic. And she's still around from what I know. And I swear to you, she saved my life. Saved my life. Two totally different people. But when she told her story, I swear I laughed my ass off that night. I had such a good time. And that's what I thought. I thought, oh, she said she was from New York. And I thought, oh, they fly them in. They do the circuit. I thought this was like one big party, And, she said a lot of things that I was laughing with her. And my brother at the end of the meeting, he said, here, take this home. He says, if anything, it'll help you go to sleep. It was the big book. And I'm here to tell you, when I was new, 2 pages, 3 at the most. I didn't have much of an attention span, but that night, I sat up in my bed after my first meeting, and I had one of those realizations, awakenings, I guess you can say, and it was basically this. It was very simple. It was, she had 9 years at the time. So if I was laughing at her story, then I must be identifying with what she was doing and, how she was living her life. And since she had 9 years, that gave me hope to say, okay, this thing does work. And that was it, for me, it was just that one bit of hope to know that my life can get better if I just do this. And my life has progressively gotten better and better and more meaningful. You know? When I took my cake, you know, I thanked my sponsor, and you know, I thanked him for enriching my life, because that's what you guys have done. You guys have not only given me a life, you know, but you've enriched the one that I've came in here with and that I cultivated. And you know, I'm just so grateful for AA and what it's done for our family. You know, I've got two other brothers. They're both in AA. My older brother's got 3 months more than I. Younger brother has, I don't know, 12 years or something like that. And you know, I'm just so grateful of what it's done. My wife recently not recently, about 7 years ago, she joined Al-Anon. And that has been a major part of our relationship. You know, we were on the brinks, man. It was bad. Like I said, I started golfing. You know, say no more. You know, when I start doing anything, you know, I'm like, you know, she calls it starfish. You know, I'm a starfish. I just latch onto it, and I'm just. It's an Al-Anon term. Yeah, that's what I live with now. But it's great, man. You know, I've got 2 kids. I've got a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, and she's a great mother. And we just, you know, if you look at us from the outside, you would never know. The people that we, like, at school, they don't know we're in Al-Anon and AA. They don't need to know, you know. We look like normal folks. And, you know, by coming here, I guess I'm going to say this and shut up. For the you know, for the new guy, I guess, really, to summarize this thing is, when I came in here, we used to talk about having this hole in your gut, you know, and you know, when I was out there, what I used to do is I had this hole and I used to fill it with alcohol and drugs. And during my using and drinking, at some point, it stopped filling that hole. I come to AA, and what AA has done is it's filled that hole again for me, so that I could live today in some sort of with some sort of dignity and self-respect. You know. So if you're new, I hope that you continue to keep coming back, and thank you guys for my life.